Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I am so glad you're here. Today we're going to be talking about the Real Techniques blend and blur brushes that they just came out with. But before we get into it, I wanted to thank y'all for coming, and if you would like this video, give it a thumbs up, and you could also subscribe. I'll have a link at the end. But anyway, let's get into it. Okay, so I picked up five we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the new Real Techniques brushes. They're called Blend and Blur. They just came out. If you've ever used an artiste brush or seen people use artiste brushes because they're ridiculously expensive, this is kind of like a drugstore alternative. I personally don't own any artiste brushes because they are ridiculously expensive, and I think I can apply my makeup just fine without that. But when these came out, I was like, that seems like I could afford that price point. So I figured what we do today is I'll insert some clips of me using these brushes, and I'll tell you what they claim they do and how I feel that they actually stack up to those claims. So let's get into it. Okay, so first off, let's start with my favorite brush. This is the one that they call the shadow brush. It does have some shadow on it because I used it today. One thing about these brushes is this white part right here does stain. So if that's something that bothers you, it's probably going to bother you, because I have washed another one of these, like this one I washed, and it's stained with makeup. So that might not be something that you're into, but if that doesn't really bother you, I mean, they work well. Okay, so first off, we have this little guy. He is the shadow brush, and on their website, they actually call it the crease brush. It says that you don't blend in, but your makeup can. Leave them stunned with Real Techniques Blend and Blur. Wait, that says foundation. Ulta's got to fix their website because they've got a foundation details under the crease brush. But anyway, it's supposed to be a crease brush. I actually used it all over my eye today. I used it to do the shadow on my lid, on my brow bone, and in the crease. What I did was I just started out with the lighter shades and then progressively got darker because I was using the same brush, obviously. I did wipe it off in between, and I wiped it off afterwards. But because it is white, you can still kind of see. And honestly, I used it yesterday and I cleaned it, and there was still a little bit of staining. So if that bothers you, it's something to keep in mind. But this little guy was the one that I was like, I am not going to like that. That is just like, how are you supposed to do eyeshadow with this toothbrush looking thing? To me, it seemed like they were doing the face brushes and they're like, well, we might as well throw in an eyeshadow brush. It's probably not going to work, but let's just do it anyway. I was so wrong. This is definitely my favorite. It is so easy to get the shadow on there in like targeted areas, but it's also really nice to blend. It blends really nicely, and it's super soft. So if you have sensitive eyelids like me, where if you use a cheaper brush, it might work really well, but it kind of hurts if you're blending, you know, like going to town back and forth. This one does not hurt, like no matter how intensely I blend. So I would definitely recommend, if you're not going to try out any of the others, try this shadow brush. It's only $12.99, and I really, really like it. Like, I'm contemplating getting another one so that I don't have to wipe it off in between, and I can have one for darker colors and one for lighter colors. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about this, and I'm shocked because I thought that this one was going to be like the throwaway brush, but I love it. Okay, we'll go in order of smallest to largest. So the next one is the cheek brush. This one I have used for blush. I used it today, but I actually went back in and used some other brushes because I did not like the way it applied. I guess I feel like when you're using a regular blush brush, I think I have one here. This is just an e.l.f. one. But when you use a regular one, okay, so you get it on your cheek like this. I mean, it's roughly the same area, but this is way more densely packed than this. So for blush, which I already tend to be kind of heavy-handed with, I like to have something that's a little lighter as opposed to this kind of like painting it on. And then I also felt like you couldn't really blend with it because I was more so putting more blush on. Even if I wiped it off, the blush was still in those bristles, and I just was looking like a clown. But yeah, not really a fan of this one. This one retails for $6.99. Not bad, but I would save your money because this e.l.f. brush is only $3.99, I think, and I like it better. It's really just the shape of it. Like, Real Techniques are not bad brushes. It's just I don't think that this shape is conducive to blush. That's just my opinion, though. Side note, the first time I used these, I used this to apply my concealer, and it worked really well. I am not one of those people that believes that because this says cheek, you can only use it on your cheeks. So if you want to use one of these for concealer, I would totally recommend this. Like, this was really nice at blending out my concealer under my eyes. It's a nice small shape, so you could really get up under there. And it did a really good job. So I take back what I said about saving your money, because if you're going to use it for that, I think it's a pretty good brush. I just wouldn't use it for blush. Okay, next up is the contour brush. This one, if you want a nice, like, super natural diffused contour, then I think this is your brush. But if you still, like, when you do your contour, if you still want to see, like, a little bit of that line, I feel like the other Real Techniques contour brush, which I have right here, works better. They both are about, this one's actually a little more densely packed, which kind of is interesting, because this one I feel like it blends it out, but it doesn't make it totally disappear, whereas this one blends it out and then it's almost like, wait, I blended too much, it's all gone, I have to do it again. But if that's what the look that you're into, then I think you would love this. But if you want a little bit more of like a structured cheekbone, I'd go with this one. And I think they're about the same price point. Okay, so this one's actually a little bit cheaper. This one is $16.99 and this one's only $9.99. So if I were picking, I would choose this one. This one's not bad, but I would choose this one. Next up is the foundation brush. This one I used for my foundation. I thought it was pretty good, but if you've seen my video on the L'Oreal sponge, which I will link in a card up here if you haven't, I still am a sponge girl when it comes to foundations. I used to be a brush girl, but now I'm a sponge girl. I just think it looks more natural, it blends easily, you don't have to, it's so much easier to clean. Like, you can use the sponge wet. I have one right here, that's what I'm looking at. Whereas this, if you go to clean it, you gotta wait for it to dry before you can use it. So if you're into foundation brushes, then you probably would like this one. I think it's very like ergodynamic. I said that word weird. And you can really, you know, get around your face. It is harder to get like in these areas and like under here, but you could use that blush brush just for like targeted, like, you know, concealer, I guess is what word I'm getting at. So yeah, I think this is $19.99. Yeah, no, I know this is $19.99. If you're into foundation brushes, I think that's a really good deal. But I'm not really a foundation brush kind of girl, so I'm gonna stick with my sponge because this didn't blow my mind. Okay, last brush we have is the All Over brush. This one is huge. I use this for powder. So what I did was I kind of like, I'll insert a clip like I did for the others, but I just kind of patted it in the powder like that. And then I kind of like pressed it on my face and then I blended it in. It worked pretty well. The only thing is that you couldn't get into like the targeted areas right here, which Real Techniques does make a setting brush that I really like for that, which is right here. And this one's probably cheaper too, if I had to guess. This one's $19.99. I highly doubt this is $19.99. But yeah, I really like that brush for setting, and I just think that, I don't know, it's a little densely packed for powder. Maybe if you were using like a powder foundation, but for setting powder, I like my brushes to be a little bit more loosely packed, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Yeah, but these brushes are all incredibly soft. They're super, super soft. They are supposed to be long-lasting, which, I mean, I'm sure they probably are. The other ones that have Real Techniques are really good quality, and these feel like good quality as well. I think they are an awesome bang for your buck. If you've been thinking about trying out the Artiste brushes, but you just can't bring yourself to spend that amount of money, I think these are a really good alternative. Like I said, I have never used the Artiste brushes, so I can't compare them to that. But I think they're really high quality brushes. If the shape of them works for you, I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with these. But if you're someone like me who, say, likes to use a sponge for your foundation, then you're not going to really like the brush, regardless of whether it's this shape or it's a normal shape. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I was really excited to try some of these brushes because I felt like I was off the bandwagon with the cool kids because those are these brushes I could not bring myself to spend the money for. I think I'm going to definitely get a lot of use out of that eyeshadow brush. Like I said, probably going to buy another one. And I actually do really like that cheek brush for concealer. So yeah, thanks for stopping by, you guys. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you found this video informative if you were wondering about these brushes. If you found anything of this video informative, or you liked it, or you just like me, give me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. I'm going to put a subscribe button right here. Right there. And if you would subscribe so you can see my videos every week, I would really appreciate it. And hope you all are having a good week. I'll see you next week. Bye.